back. To those of you who are new, welcome to the CS Hands-On track. We've had some great sessions so far, and we've got 3 more to go. Masterclasses, workshops, and a fireside chat. So we will canter forward. I'd like to welcome on stage Guy Gallon, who's VP of Customer Success at Umbrella. Guy is a seasoned customer success exec and strategic advisor who's passionate about customer engagement, building professional relationships, and helping teams and customers be successful. So this masterclass is going to be a great insight into how us CS folks can help to drive revenue, which is certainly a hot topic right now. So Guy, over to you.
Hello, everyone. It's great to see all of you here. And let me start by jumping 29 minutes into the future, and I know we will be closer to lunch, and tell all of you customer success professionals in this room that I would like you to leave this session convinced that you don't have to be a seller to drive revenue. And it is a debatable topic. We heard it earlier today, and generally in customer success these days, the balance between promoting value and driving revenue. And I will share my insights about this. And it's also an urgent topic to discuss these days for 2 reasons. First of all, technology changes. AI and automation are gaining huge momentum for a good reason. Some of the playbooks and the actions that we are doing as customer success these days will be replaced by automation in the next few years. Omid Razavi today mentioned that 40% of the workforce will be impacted in the next 3 years by AI. So this change is about to happen. We need to embrace it, but we will need to change as well. And the second reason is now more than ever, customer success should be pushing to be recognized as a revenue leader, revenue enabler, and not just as a cost center. And as such, customer success managers today need to evolve and become more of a revenue enablers. Improve the collaboration with sales to improve better outcomes. And by the way, I think that aspect of our role will not be easily replaced by AI. My name is Guy Gallon, and I've been in customer management for more than 20 years. This is the 3rd year in a row that I speak at this conference, and I'm truly honored to be here again on this stage with you today. And let me start with a short story that will get us warmed up. And this story takes me back about 7 years ago. I was working for a big corporate, 25,000 people, and I was just about to leave and start a new role in a startup. I was very happy, and as part of my farewell process, I asked to meet the general manager of my unit. You know, we want to talk to senior stakeholders, right? And I wanted to hear some feedback and seek advice for my next career move. And the feedback that he shared with me made me realize something that I didn't pay attention to about the contribution of customer success. And these were his words. Guy, you're a great professional. All customers and colleagues think highly of you. You actually managed to help us in the last few years to meet all of our financial targets. You did a great job, Guy. Such a shame that I only found about it recently. And I was working for this company for almost 10 years, and then my last working day, I got such a great feedback. And I left this meeting thinking, what did I do well, and maybe what did I do wrong? And eventually, I distilled it to 2 lesson learned, or action items that I had to take. And the first thing is no one, and I say no one, will promote your success better than you. You're a customer success manager, you enable success to your customers, but you also enable success into your own organization. And you should be proud of it, and you should be promoting it. The second lesson was that customer success already has a significant impact on sales and revenue. And in my session, I will help you to make it more structured so you receive the recognition that you so much deserve. So with this story and those lessons learned, let's talk about the how and what steps we need to make to be more effective revenue enablers in our own organization. And there are 3 steps. First of all, think measurable value. So we are used to talking to our customers about desired outcomes, objectives, And we are helping them to adopt their product, to adopt our product, but at the same time, we are triggering or driving revenue into our own organization, which, by the way, is measured by revenue, NRR, MRR, ARR. So this is one step. The second step is to follow some basic sales practices. And Remco, in his session earlier today, said, okay, let's do sales training. But not all organizations will send you immediately to do sales training. But there are some basic sales practices that all of us can learn. And we don't need sales training. And I'll provide a few examples in my session. And the third item, or the third step, is to improve collaboration with sales. We are used to thinking about sales as hunters, lonely wolves, not the type of team players that we got used to be as customer success managers. So naturally, we feel a little bit maybe reluctant to engage with them. But I feel that sales are like customers. You will make them successful, and they would like to work with you and collaborate. And we'll talk about that as well. So now let's prove to ourselves that we're actually in a good position to already engage and enable revenue. And I would like to, all of us, to agree on what are the main assets that we have as customer success managers. First of all, we're professionals. We know our product, we know how to onboard, we know how to adopt, we know how to drive value and make sure that customers actually meet their expected outcomes. We also know how to build relationship, right? We know how to talk to the professional teams, to commercial teams. We know how to identify stakeholders, senior stakeholders, the champions. It's not easy, but this is our bread and butter. And at the same time, we also know what the customer challenges are. We know their environment. We know their objectives. We know what are their desired outcomes. And if we combine all of them together, and that was mentioned earlier today, and I think all of you know that, we can become a trusted advisor. And when you mix professionalism, relationship, and knowledge about the customers and the stakeholders, you're in a very good position. And when you're a trusted advisor, customers actually want to hear your best practices. They want to hear what you have to say. They may ask you some questions. And most importantly, they don't think you sell them something that they don't need, which, in my opinion, puts the customer success on a very important path. I call it the value to revenue path. You drive value, you create success individually, or as your customer becomes more successful, you're able to retain them, you're able to expand, and that translates to revenue. And as I said, CSM is in a very good position. Simplify the fact that you're already there. You don't have to go to a sales course to do what you already do. The question is, where is your mindset, and what some tactics and specific processes that you can employ to be able to drive those opportunities forward with, by the way, with your sales team, not separately. So it all looks simple, right? We can all go home? Not really. We have some challenges, obstacles, challenges, and I would like to touch upon them very, very quickly. First of all, value is our comfort zone, right? We like what we do best. We know how to build relationship. I mentioned all of our assets put us in a quite comfortable position, internally in our own organization and in front of our customers. And at the same time, there is less pressure when you're not dealing with revenue. So if I deal with revenue and I have my targets, somebody will knock on my door every month or every quarter and ask me about how do you do with your numbers. And that's a different place to be at rather than just talk value. But we all know today that value is not enough. Also, value is not always measurable. Revenue is measurable. And we might have bad experience with sales. Raise your hand if someone ever sold you something that you don't need. Right. Me too. And on top of that, as customer success managers, we do have to handle situations where we have unrealistic expectations set by sales. So maybe they promise 2 days onboarding when it takes 2 weeks. Maybe they sell a product feature that doesn't exist at the moment, or some type of a service that we don't provide. So to be able to overcome those challenges, knowing what our assets are, I believe, first of all, we have to do some change in mindset. I can not only dictate something to you to do tomorrow morning, but if you are driving value and you know how to do that very well, you can also drive revenue, can also drive opportunities. But that requires a change in mindset. And we will talk about it, don't worry. We also need to develop some additional skills that are related to sales. I will talk about why customer success needs a pipeline and how we manage opportunities in a very basic, simple terms. And we need to accept that we are moving into a more challenging territory. When you deal with revenue, when you deal with sales, there will be more questions, more challenges. It will be a more heated situation. And that's fine, because this is part of your professional growth and how you are actually taking more responsibilities and build more skill sets into your CSM, with what I would call CSM portfolio of skills. Okay, so we talk about change. Now, all of us know how to drive change in terms of our customers. We take a product or a solution and we drive the change. But this time the change is on our side. This is what I believe. And I generally like to look at changes in 3 dimensions: people, process, and technology. Now, with technology, given the time limitations we have, I will not spend too much time on technology. Technology, we have Salesforce, we have other CRM tools. It's very simple, straightforward for most of us to use. And they are there for a reason, for 30, 40 years already, because they help to structure the lead to opportunity to new customer process. And by the way, customer success use it and other teams use it as well. And I will touch upon technology or how we deal to manage a pipeline later on. But I would like to focus more on people and processes. And when I talk about people, I talk about mindset change, as I mentioned before, and I split it to 2, let's say, different groups, different categories. First of all, get closer to sales. If you were, you heard Rav today in the panel, Rav was also mentioning that as well. And I believe that you need to be much closer to sales than you are today. And how to do that? First of all, you can ask, why do customers buy from us? Now, if you do proper handover from sales, you might be asking them, why did the customer buy from us? But there's more. There's more to it. You should ask sales, or you should try to understand how sales actually position the product. What are the USPs? What are the marketing position, the market positioning? How you compare with your competition? This is value selling. Sales also do value selling, and by the way, they create trust in a very short time, which, by the way, we have much more time to build trust and explain the value to customers. They don't. So they must be doing something right. So let's try to understand what they do. Second thing is shadow sellers. Pick 1 or 2 sellers in your company that you feel more comfortable with. Maybe you can join a meeting. Maybe you can join a call with them, right? If it's not possible for whatever reason, usually sales calls are recorded today. Gong, WhatsApp, sorry, not WhatsApp, Zoom, and Gong, and other platforms. So try to listen and hear how they do this value selling and enrich, let's say, your capabilities and how to distill the value or distill the message to a customer. Practice the revenue language, which was also mentioned today. So you deal with revenue, you need to know be quite comfortable with ROI, revenue and risk, forecast, customer lifetime value. All of these terms are, by the way, being used by your management, by your board, by your CCO, by your CRO, all of them. So if you want to be involved in opportunity management, you also need to understand those terms as well. And last but not least, use or try to learn about sales framework. This is what I said before. You don't have to go to a sales training. Read in the internet what MEDDIC is. And sales framework helps sales team and will help customer success as well to be focused, to understand what the customer problems are, what are they trying to solve, who is the main person that is responsible for the decision making, how they are going to do their decision process, what the budgets are and timelines. All of those things are questions that you can ask as well when you're very close to your customers. So that's the get closer to sales part. Now let's talk about your own initiatives. because, as I said, it's a mindset change. So you have to drive few things on your own. And when you win, be proud of it. If you remember my story, I enabled about 10 sellers to be very successful, but my name was not attached to any of those wins. So your name should be there. People in your organization should know about your contribution. And record your CSQL, your customer success qualified leads, right? I will show an example how to do it very simple. It's not intimidating. This is actually a reflection of what you actually do and deliver for your customers and for your own organization. So CSQL should not be a term that you are not comfortable with. And do retrospect and post-mortem. So retrospect for the wins, the sales wins, your customer success wins. You must be doing something right. You are delivering business impact to your customers. Some of those use cases are very successful, so try to make sure you understand how that works and you can replicate it with other customers. On the other side, we have the post-mortem. So I hope in your organization you analyze when sales are missing on a very important customer or you are losing a customer. So let's ask ourselves what happened. It's not just about commercials, right? It could be operational, product, value, a perception of what we are trying to do, maybe a bad service. So all of those things you need to take into consideration when you're trying to understand how you better position yourself and your product in front of customers. And generally, and that's true for everyone, for every person, for every professional, be curious. In the context of this session, be curious to get closer to sales, be curious to learn more new skill sets, and be curious to be able to impact more of the revenue in your own organization. So this is the mindset change. Let's talk about the processes. I mentioned two processes, pipeline and opportunity management. Now, let's ask a question. Why CS have a pipeline? Let's be clear why we need something like that. And the pipeline is always, it's sales. Okay, it is part of what the sales do, but it's also useful for us. And first of all, it helps us to maintain a structure in a sensitive and complicated process. You have different customers, different regions, different maybe product flavors, different opportunities with different revenue and different probability. Can you possibly manage that from your head or from emails and documents? No. This is why pipeline is for, and by the way, sales do the same thing, otherwise they will get lost. And the other thing which is very much helping sales is pipeline helps you to be able to prioritize your effort and focus. And what we always say about sales is that they are focused. They know how to find the right timing to close the deal at a certain point in time with the right people. So having a pipeline also for your opportunities will help you to prioritize, will help you to talk to your management, to sales team, and understand where you need to prioritize. And it will also help you with your commercial impact in your own organization. Again, my story, right? So you may have it in the Salesforce or you have it somewhere else, but I would like you to be proud of the list of opportunities that you have with your customers. So hopefully you're convinced why we need a pipeline. Let's talk about opportunity management, and there are 4 stages: identification, estimation, qualification, and handover to sales. And there is a reason why I put all of them together, because they are not necessarily linearly followed, right? The identification part, yes, it's usually the first part. And by the way, this is the one part of this process that is 100% customer success. You're in front of the customers. We talked about your assets. You can do that already. The estimation and the qualification is a bit more complicated. I think I'll show you why I think CS can do it already, but you can do it in partnership with sales. And obviously that will lead to a certain handover to sales, because eventually sales close the commercials. And we're not going to change it. They know how to do that. That's their bread and butter. Let's talk about identification, and I think you should feel comfortable with that because it relates to your assets that I mentioned before. So on one hand, you understand the customer environment. You understand the customer objectives. You understand what problems they try to solve. You're already onboarded, and they are maybe adopting very well. So you know you know the people, and you know their priorities. If you're a trusted advisor, you know enough to actually identify when they have a need, or you did a very good job that they connected you with other teams so you can actually expand and grow. That's one side. The other side is that you are professional, we mentioned. You know the product capabilities, you know the product feature, you know what the most successful use cases are. And by the way, you know the roadmap, which is also important. So you know what's coming. You know what features are going to come and tie it with or relate it to customer needs and requirements. And as such, I believe customer success is in its best position to identify opportunity with existing customers. In any place that I worked in the last 10 years, I didn't count on sales to identify opportunities with existing customers. Yes, they helped. Yes, they closed the deals, but it was customer success that was actually doing the identification. And let's talk about estimation. And estimation could be very easy, depending on your business model. You may sell subscribers, users. So there's a price book, 100 users, and then you have 200 users. It may be a traffic-based number of APIs. 10,000 API per month, 100,000 API per month. You don't need a degree in mathematics to be able to understand how to do the estimation. Maybe it's a silver to gold to platinum tier. Most of the SaaS products already have it on the website. Again, the price is there. And maybe there is additional modules that customer buy, and there is a specific price per module. So on one hand, it could be very simple. Again, I'm not saying you cannot do it with sales, but this is the side of the presentation that I feel more comfortable to tell customer success managers that you can do it. But it can also be complicated, right? Maybe it's a new use case that we have not implemented that requires some scoping. Maybe there's deployment complications. I need to integrate with a new software, a new third-party application that I'm not familiar with. Maybe there are product gaps that needs to be closed, and maybe there is significant professional services involved. So if you take all of that, then it gets a bit complicated. But then you have a solution architect, pre-sales, product team. Sometimes the sales team are involved. You're not alone. There are other people, other professionals in your organization that can help you with that part. And I do believe that with experience, you can also be involved and manage such a process internally. So we did the estimation. Now we talk about the qualification. You remember I mentioned before MEDDIC and other sales framework. Let's try to make it more easier for us to follow. And for me, qualification means it's the process to assess the health of this opportunity, if it exists at all, and hopefully what is the probability of this opportunity. And how do we do that? First of all, we define what we want to make sure that we understand the scope and the use case. If it's something that our product doesn't know how to do, it's a no-go from the start. We just need to make sure that it's something that we know how to do. And if there are some gaps, as I mentioned before, you may need to bring the product team or somebody else to help you to define if this is a gap that can be closed for the customer to move forward with this opportunity. Stakeholder sponsorship. I could count endless cases where I was working with customers and I got very friendly, supportive users coming to me, yeah, we need this, we need that, we want to grow here. Then another team needs the product, but they don't have any authority. With all due respect, they are great professionals, but they are not the people that take decision. A stakeholder sponsorship is someone or a person or multiple persons that are going to be successful in their organization. They know how their organization will be successful by expanding the relationship with you and with your product. And by the way, they will bring budget. No budget or no additional budget on top of what the customer pays today. There's no new opportunity here, right? So there needs to be a budget in place. Now, most likely you will not hear from a customer how much they have to spend. But you may hear, oh, I have budget left over for this year, or we'll have the budget approved next quarter or the quarter after next, which helps you to understand what the timelines are and what the priority is, which is another aspect of qualification, because it could be that there is a budget, but there is no rush, because IT is not ready, because there's another team that is not fully available, and many other reasons. And if you know the scope and the use case, and you know the stakeholder sponsor, you understand who's the stakeholder that you can work with, and know that there is a budget in place, and time, and the understanding of timeline and priority, you are in a position to say to yourself that you have a qualified opportunity. And I say it again, it could be done with sales. It's not only on you. They can help you, but I think as part of your professional growth, you can do it as well. And I like to think on customer success in this case as a chef in the kitchen. So we bake the cake, maybe we prepare the dish, and hopefully, and we hand over to sales, and hopefully they will not burn it in the oven, right? So before moving to sales and hand over to sales, let's take a very practical example. I'm a customer success manager for a vendor providing a customer management tool. It's our own domain, so we all understand. Now let's look at how opportunity looks like. Fictitious example, but still, customer A in the US just going to acquire another company with 500 customers, and they want to onboard those 500 customers to my platform. So it's additional X of 500 customers, right? We have a price book that I know that it will cost them, I just made up the number, don't crucify me, $50K annually. Probability is 50% because the customer has not finished or completed the acquisition, but they're planning to do it in Q1, and their chief customer officer is all over, and he says by June 2024, the deal has to be closed because they have to put all those 500 customers into the new system. One example. The second example is customer B in Europe, and they trialed our AI churn prediction tool last year. They're very happy. They want to use it, and for that they have to move to a different service tier from silver to gold. Let's say for the number of customers that they have to pay 25K euro. It's a 70% probability because they already said that they want it, so their intention is there. Sales are going to close the deal, and by March 2024, we're going to close it. That's the expectation. So there you are. You have two examples of how you can do it without Salesforce, without nothing. That could be an Excel spreadsheet on a Word document to begin with, and later on, it can be gradually developed to a Salesforce or any other CRM tool. And then you can talk to your sales team, you can talk to your management, you can seek guidance. Where do you need to prioritize? And now, hand over to sales or communication and engagement with sales, and let's spend a few minutes on it. And I like to use different metaphors. So we are used to sales passing the baton to us. New customer, we are onboarding, we start the journey. It will be a very nice closure if we are passing the baton back to the sales team with a nice renewal or a nice expansion. Now, to be able to do that and to win as a team, I want us to think about continuous communication with sales. You just saw the example before. This is helping me to frame the discussion with sales. They are very focused. They want to understand what they need to do and what do we have on the table. If I'm not able to articulate it, this whole communication is not going to work. So it's not just one-off handover, it's a continuous discussion. And by the way, sales are very experienced. They may pinpoint risks in the life cycle of the opportunity. Maybe there is expansion bundled with renewal, and we could offer a multi-year renewal and expansion for a discount. Again, those are sales motions that sales can help you with if you keep them in the communication cycle and not drop everything in the last minute or only when you have a problem. And keep things visible for sales. Visibility is critical. I call it one source of truth. The example I showed you, the CRM, when we are talking about new opportunities or existing customers, renewals and everything, let's look at one source of data. It creates trust with sales because they don't think that you are hiding something or the information is, they have to work too hard to find information. You're helping them and you're helping yourselves. And then there is a question, who is in front? Now, my tips are no ego, and whoever is in best position to enable the opportunity can lead it to the degree that eventually you hand over to sales to close it. Sales will be happy if you just identify, they will qualify the opportunity and they will take it from there. They will be even happier if you can do a bit more, estimate, qualify it, tell them exactly who they need to talk with and close the deal. So for me, it doesn't really matter. We know how the end of the race looks like, but we just need to make sure and coordinate with sales at what stage we hand over. And generally, collaboration with sales. I encourage you to talk to them and be comfortable in driving revenue. And when you do that and you improve, they will also like to talk to you and understand how you do your job very well, what are the prominent use cases. You'll bring more happy customers that will do advocacy, which will help the sales team to sell more. And as we get to the end of the session, and yes, we are, and I know lunch is waiting for all of us, let me share a quote from supposedly a good friend of mine, Sir Richard Branson. He said, "To stand still today is to go backward, and quickly." And from this statement, or from this session, there is a clear call for action for all of you here, for all of us CSMs, and to do it today, do it tomorrow or next week. Mark 1 hour in your calendar and list down all the opportunities that you have with your customers, or do you think you have with your customers. That will be the starting point of your journey. And as you go through the journey, remember the 3 steps that I mentioned before. Think measurable value, not just the value that you deliver to your customers, but internally as well. Follow basic sales practices, pipeline and opportunity management, and improve your collaboration with sales. And it might be difficult. We talked about us being more comfortable with value, less reluctant to handle sales so far. Maybe we had bad experience with sales. Okay, but if you leverage your position as trusted advisor, slightly adopt a different mindset, and improve or be curious to learn more skill sets, you will not only be able to identify more opportunities, but you will be able to manage them effectively, positively impact the revenue in your own organization, and it's very important, you will be able to receive the recognition that you deserve for your contribution to your own organization. And remember, you don't have to be a seller to drive revenue. Thank you very much. And
Thank you,
I know
guys.
it's lunch, so I'll stay here for a few minutes. I'll go also to lunch. Anyone who has questions or want to talk to me, happy to do so, and you can also connect with me on LinkedIn. Thank you.